York Knicks last night, did you see them? The New York Knicks winners of 3 straight. The New York Knicks winners of 12 and 13. Firmly entrenched in the 4th spot in the Eastern Conference. And the plans were to begin today. They would play the Atlanta Hawks. They would have home court events. Did you see what percolate? Brooklyn won. Brooklyn won. Brooklyn won.
We should have kept Kimberly for this one, and being from Brooklyn. Hey, Brooklyn, what? Did you see the game last night?
Sure I did.
The Nuggets gave them the business.
Mere bag of shells. No big deal. No big deal whatsoever. Mere bag of shells. And you know what I'm saying? I get that from Ralph Cramden, the honeymooners. Mere bag of shells.
This is when you care about
nothing to be concerned about. Listen, first of all, understand this. This is West. So if we were to make the finals, then we wouldn't have to worry about. We only got to worry about one of those teams. One of those teams.
Oh, you're just good in the East.
I'm just saying. Right now, this late in the season, the focus is on the Eastern Conference. Not concerned at all about the Western Conference. Utah, Denver, LA, both LA teams, Phoenix, Dallas, Portland. It don't matter, yo. Only one of them could come out of the West for the NBA Finals. So we understand that. Not that the Knicks are getting there, because I'm not that delusional. I know better than that. But I will tell you this. Let me put on my analyst hat here and be a bit critical as you dissect things. First of all, both Julius Randle and R.J. Barrett, who I like, got to become a bit more ambidextrous. Use something more other than your left hand. You got to use your right hand more. That's something they got to work on in the offseason. I already told Wes and the crew, I wish they had drafted Halliburton instead of Obi Toppin, because Halliburton out of Sacramento, even though he's out for the rest of the season now. That brother can play, and they needed a guard, even though I like Quickly and the job that he's doing. And I love what Derrick Rose is doing for them. And I love their top-rated defense. And don't get Mitchell Robinson back, because you're talking about your front court being able to defend. We shall see. We shall see. The Knicks are still 8 games above 500. They're still destined for the playoffs. I am not
Next
concerned.
3 games, Suns, Clippers, Lakers?
Yeah, I agree. They're going to win one of those games, if not 2 of them. They're going to win at least one of those games. But the point that I'm making to you is that, listen, they went up against Jokic, and Jokic in the first quarter put on a show and let them know there's levels to this. And there's a reason I'm a leading candidate for league MVP. I understand. I get it. I understand it. New York Knicks undersized, undermanned. But you shall say, don't worry about it. There's some rough patches along the way to prosperity. And this is just one of those patches. Regular season game. It's all right. There's no reason to panic, y'all. There's no reason to panic.
Suns, Lakers, and Clippers are their next 3.
What used to come on, I think it was right before the honeymooners. I don't know if it still does. The Odd Couple.
I know.
So let me just say, as Felix Unger once did to
Oscar.
Stephen A.
Yeah.
I want to go over the Knicks. Knicks very impressive. You win 12 out of 14 games. That's a great feat. The Grizzlies, the Raptors having a bad season, the Lakers without LeBron or AD, the Pelicans, that was on the road. It's a nice win. The Mavericks are a nice win, although they've underachieved this year. Pelicans again, this time at home. The Hornets, the Hawks, the Raptors again. You lose to the Suns. That's the first really good team you've played. You beat the Bulls, the Rockets. These are the dregs. The Grizzlies. And then you play the Nuggets. You lose.
Right.
You lose to all the elite teams you play.
Right.
Now, if you look at the East, forget about the West. There are 3 elite teams in the East. The Brooklyn Nets, when they're healthy. If the Knicks get 2 games against the Nets, that's like the championship this year.
I agree.
Okay. The Philadelphia 76ers with an MVP-level player on the team in Embiid and 2, not 1, but 2 Defensive Player of the Year candidates in Thibault and Ben Simmons. Yeah. Not to mention Embiid, right? Okay.
Doesn't look good.
Or Harris, or you can throw other excellent players who aren't defenders.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Or the Bucks, who just beat the Nets without Harden, with the freak and MVP player, and now Drew Holiday, who's a killer under pressure, and Chris Middleton, who just took over in the 4th quarter. The Knicks aren't going to beat any of those teams, Stephen A. They ain't going to beat any of. They can't beat elite teams. They can out-scrap mid-pack teams sometimes. They ain't going to get any. They get 1 or 2 wins in a best-of-7 series against an elite team. Who are you kidding?
Had a coach last night.
You what?
An NBA coach last night.
Texted him.
Text me. He says, they remind me of the Knicks when they had Patrick Ewing. Obviously, this team doesn't have Patrick Ewing.
Minus Patrick Ewing.
Yeah.
No. But he
just
was talking,
like the team with Patrick Ewing without Patrick Ewing.
He said, that's the toughest group of guys we've played against all year.
Okay.
Yeah.
They're Rough Riders.
Yeah, they are.
You know
Props to
and all I'm saying is this. I don't believe they beat Philly. I don't believe they beat Milwaukee. I don't believe they beat Brooklyn. But if the New York Knicks get to the playoffs and get past the first round and they get into that semifinals, the season is a raving success. And more importantly, it puts all the pressure on Brooklyn to win the championship, because without winning the championship, nobody is going to care.
If Brooklyn's healthy, don't worry, they'll win the championship.
Nobody's guarantee that he thinks he's a top 5 point guard in the NBA. Simple as that. The point guard position in the association loaded with talent, including Chris Paul, who turns 36 years young today. Happy birthday to him. So that got us thinking, who are the top 5 point guards in the NBA? Stephen A., you know I love a good list, especially a Stephen's A list. I know this isn't one, so I'm not going to get all the hoopla.
Yep.
I prefer you to be standing the whole thing, but I'll let you sit this time.
Right. Well, first of all, I'm not picking LeBron James. I'm not picking LeBron James because I'm not picking forwards for this list. I don't give a damn.
That's good, because Max said he's on the decline yesterday. You missed that, too.
Oh, God. Here's the deal. I got Luka at number 5, averaging 28, 9, and 8. I've got CP3 at number 4.
You're going too fast. Luka 5.
Luka 5. Yep. CP3, number 4.
Okay.
Damian Lillard, number 3.
Okay.
James Harden, number 2.
Okay.
All right, because we ignoring injuries and all of that stuff. We just talk about what we've seen from people this season. Mm-hmm. And obviously Steph Curry, number 1.
Well, number 5, I'll put CP3. I think he's number 4. I have Dame, and Steph has to be above Dame because Dame has, carried a big load this year, started to tail off. Steph stayed hot. James Harden is as good a point guard as has ever existed this year until he got hurt. He was already great. He took his game to another level. And the reason I do have LeBron James, even if he says he's in decline, even a LeBron in decline is better than everyone else. Maybe. But they're going to have to prove it in the playoffs. Harden will have to prove it in the playoffs to have me put him ahead of LeBron. Mm-hmm. Here's why I put LeBron on and not Luka, Stephen A. You said you're not going to include forwards. Luka's a forward. Because I'm taking guys who initiate the offense, who are the primary ball handlers, playmakers, and who guard the other teams, at least one player in the other team's backcourt. LeBron, I've seen shut down a prime D Rose as an MVP.
For a player, too.
No, I've seen LeBron shut down elite guards in playoff games. That's not Luka. Now, Harden's not a great defender, but he does defend guards. Everyone on my list defends backcourt players routinely, initiates their offense, and is the primary ball handler playmaker. I think LeBron James is not only the greatest point guard today, but in fact, he is the guy who has replaced Magic as the greatest point guard of all time. If you're making your all-time list, you put LeBron at the point.
Well, listen, if you're doing that, I'm not going to knock you for that. I understand it. It's just that when they were looking after they lost Ronda, they went out and they got Dennis Schroeder for a reason. You understand? Because he's essentially your point guard and somebody to take the pressure off LeBron when you don't want LeBron hampered with those obligations all the time. Whereas when you look at Rick Carlisle in Dallas, he said, I came to my senses when I interviewed him and asked him this question. He said, what the hell were we doing, Luka's rookie year? What were we doing that was wrong? We didn't put the ball in his hands and let him run our team. He's our point guard, his exact words. And so when I look at it from that perspective, that's the only reason I don't have LeBron on the list. That's it. Yep. Okay. I look at James Harden. He's a scorer. Remember, Kyrie's supposed to be a point guard, but he's your off guard this year because James Harden is a point guard. So you see what I'm saying? We understand it. So again, we know who the talent is and we know what they do. But I'm just talking about in terms of this year, what you're seeing from people who actually are listed as playing the position and running the offense, both, not just running the offense, but playing the position and running the offense. You designate them as your point guard. Steph Curry is the greatest shooter God ever created. And because he's such a marksman, combined with his extraordinary movement without the ball, combined with his ball handling skills, Allen Iverson, Matt Kellerman, called me the other morning at 8 o'clock. 8 o'clock in the morning.
AI doing up at 8 in the morning.
You'd be surprised. My brother's doing what my brother's